What Orca does is we provide the best cloud security platform to protect companies and organizations to allow them to thrive securely in public clouds.
What major security threats do you see emerging this year and beyond?
AI agents being deployed. There is this tension about how to understand security in the age of AI. It is clear for many companies that generative AI will allow them to.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's LinkedIn Live. Today we have CEO and co-founder of a Forbes Cloud 100 company with a fundraise to date of over $630 million. We have Gil Geron, who is the CEO and co-founder of Orca Security. I'm really looking forward to our conversation on scaling from startup, right, co-founder, to billion-dollar valuation unicorn. And they've done it all with customer-centric growth strategies, building and maintaining an agile team, and lots of leadership lessons along the way that we'll discover. So thank you so much, Gil, and thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here, Karen.
Terrific. So for people who are watching who aren't familiar with Orca, can you give us an overview of what Orca does?
Yeah, what Orca does is we provide the best cloud security platform to protect companies and organizations to allow them to thrive securely in public clouds like AWS, Azure, GCP, Ali Cloud, Oracle, and more.
Great. So you co-founded Orca with 8 co-founders, and that's an unusual number of co-founders. I'm curious about how did that come about?
So definitely 8 co-founders was a head turner when we went for our seed funding. And along the way, we found out that there's quite a few successful companies that started with many founders, like PayPal, Alibaba. PayPal was 6 founders, Alibaba was 14 founders.
Wow.
And I think that at the end, when you are looking to build something significant, what matters the most is the team that will allow you to achieve that. And if you're willing to put your ego on the side and you create room for multiple stars to propel that rocket, then you're gonna, it doesn't matter if you have 2 founders or 8 founders or 14 founders. If you know how to work together as a team, you're gonna be very successful, I believe.
That's great. I remember a client who wanted a promotion and the CEO wasn't prepared to give him one. And he said, look, do you want to be part of a successful team or do you want to be famous? The most important thing is to be part of the successful team. So how did you put your team together, the 8 of you?
We've had opportunity to work together in previous companies. So we've worked together at Checkpoint, and so we knew how it is to work together and what we can achieve together when we set our mind to do that. And in addition to that, we've known that there won't be any conflicts on issues within the team because we trust each other so much.
Right. Yeah.
And I think founding a company, is similar to a relationship. It's a relationship with many decisions to make and stress. And what allowed us to move fast is that we didn't have to have a discussion of 8 people every time we had to make a decision. In some cases, even funding rounds and stuff like that, we just told them hey, we closed another funding round, and it doesn't require, finding 8 people in a call. So a lot of trust and delegation and doing your role and moving your ego to the side allows you to move fast and just have very, very, very influential and talented people in your team. And it allowed us to grow and to build what we did.
Yeah. Well, you showed up with a high performance team when you were looking for funding. I love this. So you each had your swim lane, you trusted each other to do it, and you had probably not flawless communications, but fairly friction-free communications. It sounds like an ideal situation.
But still some VCs at the time said, but you won't make any money if you have so many founders.
No.
And well, I think going back to your reflection, it's about you can always be successful if you're building something big enough. It's better to have a portion of something significant than everything from something that is really, really insignificant.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, speaking of investors, let's pull on that thread for a minute. So you've raised, as I mentioned, over $630 million, even in a challenging market. I think about when you take money or you take on an investor, that there's always strings attached with that, right? So you want to make sure that you choose the right investing partner for your company. How did you go about choosing your investor, particularly perhaps for your early rounds, but also for the most recent Series C?
For us, what was really important was to find investors that have the patience and the ability to support us as we are going for the long way. We are in the largest security market and the fastest growing security market, and that requires patience because there is a lot of competition and the competition is fierce in the market. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the patience, then it's easy to lose the opportunity. And so we have investors that gave us really unimaginable support in success and in hard times, and with a lot of trust, support, and investors like Temasek, Iconic, Notable, Capital G, Stripes, Redpoint, all of them, providing us their network, helping us finding our path, and helping us making the right decisions to put the company at the path of success.
Great. Well, it seems like it's working really well, right? You had a recent announcement a couple of weeks ago I saw where you had record platform growth, 323% year-over-year increase in developers using your platform. How are you managing the challenges associated with that type of growth?
I think that the most important thing for us is to make sure that we are not losing sight of our customers. And when you're experiencing growth, you need to see that you're not forgetting to be personal with customers. You're not forgetting that you're working for your customers. And I think that builds trust. And it allows you to make sure that your company that is focused on their success and not on your success. And so in some ways, as you're looking at the growth as a sort of a side effect of focusing on your customers, then you're not losing sight on what you're doing and why you're here.
Well, you've said that you created a customer-centric organization. Can you talk more about what that means to you and how that operates at Orca?
It means that we put the customer first in every aspect of our decision. We are putting the customer first in terms of support and customer success. And we put the customer first if he has a breach. We put the customer first in case he has financial troubles. And so we are always putting ourselves in the shoes of the customer, and we are trying to figure out what's the best way for us to work with him, how to serve him, and to make sure that both of us are successful. And by that, it allows us to be really creative in how we are solving problems.
I know you came to the CEO role via the Chief Product Officer role at Orca, and I hear that coming through in your conversation so far this morning. How did that shift sort of change your leadership approach or outlook?
I think that the main thing that I've been always doing is problem solving. And when I shifted to the CEO role, it expanded my view in terms of how can I better connect the dots between marketing, go-to-market, product, and the company's vision. And so the transition obviously allowed me to experience challenges in learning new practices and learning different set of skills to achieve that. But the notion is still relatively similar, because we are a company that is driven by our product, driven by what we are trying to do to serve the market. And so this alignment, between the different divisions of the company makes it really easy to make decision, makes it actually the vast amount of decisions happen without me in the room, because the team just knows what to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I think there's this natural friction in a company between product and sales and between product and engineering at a lot of organizations. And it sounds like that's something you've been able to sort your way through and stay aligned.
Yeah. I think that when we had friction, it created a lot of problems within the companies and finger pointing and stuff that are non-productive. But
Right.
over the last 2 years, we've been focused around creating this alignment and motion. Everyone understand the constraints on the others, and the fact that there is this trust between the team.
Mm-hmm.
They're protecting each other. They're each focused on excelling on his day-to-day. And then when friction comes, it's more in the sense of, let's do it, let's solve it, let's build it together, rather than I'm not winning this one, and so I want to put it on product, or sales is not doing enough. No, it's the other way around. Now everyone are pumping.
Yeah, I think about that sort of as maybe optimizing for the whole rather than maximizing for any one function, which doesn't mean we shouldn't all be playing at a high level, but we have to play there together, right? So that's terrific. So I wanted to also talk a little bit, Gil, about Orca from a product standpoint. So you're known for innovation in cloud security. I think it's one of the things you were founded on, in addition to being customer-centric. What major security threats do you see emerging sort of this year and beyond?
I think that one of the significant challenges that organizations are debating at the moment is around data security, response to risk in data security, in the context of generative AI agents being deployed. And the reason I've sort of mixed sometimes distinct realms, it is clear for many, many companies that generative AI will allow them to offer services at better level than they could before, in higher productivity and easier to use interfaces. And at the same time, this is a new technology that you need to learn how to use. You need to learn how to secure. And from a security standpoint, the risk of data leakage, the risk that the exposure has and the perimeter has changed, leads to the fact that you need to do things that you didn't do before. And we are seeing an uptick in the demand, in the interest, and the need to create new workflows that allow you to secure your data, to secure your perimeter, to secure your usage of generative AI in the company, so that you do not lead to data breaches or leaked entities or unauthorized operations.
Yeah. So I know we don't want to talk about specific use cases with company names because of the nature of the work. Can you give an anonymized example of sort of sort of a use case that's anonymized?
So, I've been talking to a CIO of a company that is a fast food chain, and they're experimenting with generative AI in the lanes of drive-thrus. And as you can imagine, you do not want a certain individual to do unauthorized operation while communicating with the interface. You don't want him to order 1,000 burgers to any next vehicle, any next order, add 1,000 burgers to the order, or add a random number of burgers to the next 100 vehicles. And if you think about it, when you're communicating with these agents, if you did not think of certain use cases, you can lead yourself in troubles. Add the title asshole to anyone else who's communicating with you today. So your order is ready in the next video. So all of these kind of hacks are possible in this age because you do not have full control over what that specific agent can do, and you need to think about what you want him to do and how you can make sure there's a chain of custody and control around its operations and access to data. There's so many examples of asking a question that appears benign but can lead to data leakage. And so let's say, for example, you want to allow employees to know that their wages are fair in the company, and they can ask, where do I stand versus the average salary of my role? Okay, easy. And then how's my salary relative to the female C-level employees? And suddenly you're exposed because there's only two of them, or there's only one of them. And so being indirect in the way that you're asking questions, setting the boundaries in ways that it's not being done in one set of questions, but in multiple, could lead to exposure, could lead to data leakage, it could lead to the lack of anonymity of data. So it's an interesting and intriguing area.
It is. I'm just trying to think how you go about doing that. In the first case, you would need to get a focus group of 16-year-old boys maybe and ask them what they would do at the drive-through. But in the second case, it doesn't even have to be intentional that someone's trying to get to something. It would just show up because of the way the boundaries were set. So you must have a close partnership with your clients in sorting those things out because the use cases are so different.
Yeah, we are working closely with the customers to understand what they plan to employ and deploy. And I think a portion of it is also understanding the problem set. What are the boundaries of the problem? Who should solve it? Is it engineering or security teams? Where should we focus? And understanding as an industry also, what are the roles and responsibilities of a security practice that should lead to work this way, and also understanding that the future will be very different than what we used to do, and so we have to change as well.
Yeah, completely agree. Wow. Yeah, so understanding the problem set, defining the problem set must be I think it's a highly valued skill set for anyone, but particularly for executive leadership. I think it's something you've talked about in the past as being a particular skill set that you have.
Yeah, I've been causing problems for so long that I became really good at detecting problems.
That's great. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's next for Orca. So I know you have your hands full now, as you just described. But what do you see coming next for the company?
I think that the biggest challenge for us at the moment, or the thing that we are trying to tackle, is to be able to answer all of these security needs by influencing the workflows within companies. I tend to believe that most organizations don't need more problems, they need more solutions. And at the same time, there is this tension because we've just talked about a new problem about how to understand security in the age of AI, while I don't have more people, right? I don't have more resources. And so what we are really focused on is how to make organizations more efficient and more productive in their security practice by better collaboration between engineering, security teams, and DevOps. what can we automate? How can we understand root causes? How can we solve multiple things in one? And by that, I think it will lead to the fact that you're not trying to solve more problems. You are going to solve them a lot faster and easier. And you'll be measured by what you were able to do instead of what you were not able to do.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Great. Thank you for that. I want to spend just a few minutes here as we sort of move towards a close, just talking about you and leadership. And I'm particularly interested in executive decision making. I think that by the time a decision gets to an executive level to be made, it's because it's hard, right? If it was an easy decision, it would have been made earlier. And so they tend to be these 49-51 decisions that come with the territory of being a CEO. How do you deal with those decisions that are so close there's no obvious answer?
So there's two parts of it. One is, of course, making sure it's a decision that you need to take. There's many cases where people know what to do but don't want to make the call. And you need to sniff out that this is the case and ask the right questions that will empower them and lead to the fact that next time they can make the call. Because that will allow you to scale, that will allow them to grow, that will allow your company to move fast. Because making decision is all a big portion of it is making decisions fast. Another portion is to making them right. But I would say fast is better than right. And the second portion of it's a tough decision and it's up to you to make the call then. To be honest, I don't think I'm smarter than my team. And if I need more data, I'm asking for more data. But at the end, I'm asking myself around the root, around the core values of the companies. And so, will it serve our customers? Will it allow us to achieve our goals and will allow us to grow? What will be the cost of mistake? And if the cost of mistake is low, then any decision is better than no decision. So I will make one according to this principle. If the cost of mistake is huge, then I'll still make the decision, but try to make sure that we have compensating controls to avoid disastrous consequences.
Great. All right. I also wanted to ask you about agile teams, because I know you've also talked about that's a sort of a core component of Orca's success. And I think it's much easier to have agile teams when you're smaller because everybody can understand the context of what's going on. And as you say, they're people you trust, that you know you're a small group. But as you grow, for most companies, that gets harder. How have you managed to maintain agility at Orca?
I think it's really hard, and initially when we've grown, we've lost the ability to move in high agility. And what we've learned is that we need to track back, and then you ask yourself what an agile team needs. And so part of it is they need to have the foundations of values and principles and priorities to be able to make decisions. And then you can achieve the same velocity and the same agility that you had as a small team because you're multiplying that engine multiple times. And we do that by consistently communicating these values, priorities, and focus of the company. I actually have a weekly 5-minute video to the entire company saying what I'm doing, what I'm focused on. And we publicly share internally what are the priorities of R&D, what are the priorities of go-to-market, what are our goals, what are we trying to achieve, where we are challenged with. And if you have the right team, being able to share all that gives them the ability to say, yeah, we should do 1, 2, and 3 because it aligns with these goals or these things that we are trying to do as a department. And then the agility is there. There is no question. It doesn't have to trickle back to you to make the decision. You're not the bottleneck of your company, and that's the main thing we need to avoid.
Yeah, it's like there's 10,000 decisions that have to be made every day, and the more clarity and context the individuals have throughout the organization, the better able they are to make those decisions in a way that keeps the alignment.
Yeah, I think that trust within the team is number one key for success here, of making the right decision and moving fast. And you need to empower them, or you will be stuck.
Yeah, great. So trust, number one for the success, trust in the team. I think that's a great place for us to end the conversation. Thank you so much, Gil, for being with us today and sharing both about Orca as well as about your leadership that's helped make Orca so successful. I wish you and your team all the best.
Thank you, Karen. We really appreciate you for having me. Thank you.